And we're going to hit the go live button for that one viewer who may or may not be waiting. Hello, live viewer. Okay. Ready to go?
I are.
This is the Techno Buffet podcast, episode number 638, recorded Wednesday, August 2nd, 2023, in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Welcome to another exciting episode.
Exciting? You say exciting?
Excitement not guaranteed. Void where prohibited.
I wasn't expecting excitement. I'm not prepared for excitement.
The Techno Buffet podcast makes no guarantee of excitement or otherwise.
All right. No guarantees. But that doesn't stop it from being.
Yes, it's just not guaranteed excitement. It's
okay.
hopeful.
That makes sense. I like that. That's cool.
But we could always talk about the event that happened today.
Ooh, what happened today?
A new version of Home Assistant 2023.8.
Oh, it so certainly did.
Yes, I still have not watched the video because I was busy with those, those things that people pay me for.
The, jobs?
Yeah, those things.
So annoying, aren't they?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to being independently wealthy someday, but I seriously doubt it's going to happen.
It might happen.
No, I don't play the lottery. Also, I gather people who play the lottery don't seem particularly happy when they win. So...
by and large, the activities that make one wealthy or not don't really change because the amount of money in your bank account changes.
Well, as I said, you have to be in it to win it, so not in it. So anyway, 2023.8 apparently has additional translations for services.
Yep, I heard that.
If that's definitely helpful because again, why is your service in English and not translatable? So essentially, now that they are, they've introduced the event entity. So I'm surprised this took so long to sort of realize that you need some way of referring to events.
I didn't realize that events. I never realized that events were hard to deal with until this particular release.
I always I found it hard to deal with because there were certain things that I wanted to tie to an event. So their example, if you look at the release notes, would be that it captures events and makes them available as an entity. So if you have a button and you want to essentially have one place where you can look at information about that button, and the button pressed, then there's now an entity that can do that.
And it covers long presses and double presses.
Yeah, so...
It's info.
Yeah, so I think this is, again, one of those things, especially for things like remotes or triggers. It's, again, you want to do something on that. This seems like a really good, at the very least, troubleshooting. And if you notice, it incorporates the ability to add automations and other things, so it should make it a lot easier for you to work with those sort of things, since it can be part of a device. So far...
Apparently, events were so hard to work with that I never even considered the possibility of working with them, so I had no idea.
I've worked with them, but I just found it annoying. So it being easier means hopefully less annoying. They started out, though, MQTT, Philips Hue, Matter, and HomeKit devices. So I should have, I haven't done the update on my 3 Home Assistant instances yet, but I'll see what entities for events appear. I might have to update my Zigbee and Z-Wave to MQTT installations, though, to support it. They apparently improved the onboarding experience.
Yeah, which, okay, be honest. Have you ever just had the desire to, like, erase everything and start from scratch?
Yes, but I often restrain that for the simple reason that if I do that, I have to go recreate everything from scratch.
Oh, yeah. It's a lot of work. It's an unbelievable amount. An hour here, an hour there over, 4 or 5 years. Trying to recreate that is just scary. But I'm so much smarter than I was when I started.
Really? Have you been taking that, what's that supplement that they say helps with your intelligence?
I don't know.
Okay. I don't know either. I guess I haven't been taking it. But again, I appreciate
if you want
one
to believe
thing.
in something fictional, there's NZT.
I don't think it was that. But essentially, they've implemented a search field on the map during onboarding, so you don't have to drag your pin around the map. You can use OpenStreetMap data to sort of try to start out somewhere and then maybe just adjust it. If you use the Home Assistant or Assist, you can add items to your Home Assistant shopping list.
Never really understood the whole shopping list thing.
I don't know. I haven't used it. Apparently, they've added a service that allows you to generate an image using OpenAI.
Well, that's cool.
So if you set up the OpenAI conversation agent integration on your instance, you can generate an image. So the idea is you could use it to generate an image of a city that matches the weather conditions outside your home. I thought that was a cute one.
That's cool.
I don't know. I'm not much on the sort of OpenAI thing, but that might convince me to give it a try.
Oh, it makes my life easier.
Why? What do you use OpenAI for? Or equivalent?
So sometimes I have to write emails to people, and those emails have to be professional, and I'm not a very professional person. And by professional, I mean, soft-handed. I tend to call things how I see them, and I don't always see things very charitably. And so I often use ChatGPT to make emails that are less of an HR offense.
I don't know. None of my work emails are an HR offense. People have just learned to ignore it when I point out that there's something wrong. Which, by the way, is my job. But, well, not all of it, but anyway, it's sort of the weird thing of telling people there's a problem and everybody perfectly happy with the insanity. Moving along, apparently wildcard support for sentence triggers. So I haven't played with sentence triggers, but I want to because over the last week I set up my red phone. So a while back I bought...
Oh, your phone to pick up and talk?
Yes, I bought a red one.
That's cool.
So I picked it up and discovered a lot of things. One, I discovered that despite the fact that I have a reasonably good computer backing my Whisper instance, that I still needed to switch from the small to the tiny model because somehow the small model took about 8 seconds for it to parse things and the tiny model took about 1 second. Wow. And I don't want to wait 8 seconds for it to interpret what I'm saying.
Are you running it on a potato?
No. Let me see.
Sounds like a potato.
How would you define a potato? It's not a pie. Let me see. It's been a while since I've looked at the specs for that computer. Give me 1 second. Okay, here we are. It is an Intel Core i5 7500 CPU.
So, single core?
No. Let me get the specs for the i5. So at one point this was my desktop PC, but the i5 7500, let's see, was released when? Okay, released in 2016, so it's not the newest. Average CPU mark was about 6,027. It has 4 cores.
That is not a potato.
I'm just saying, no, is it?
I mean, it's not like super strong, but neither. It is also not a potato.
Well, the thing is, people run the tiny model usually on a Raspberry Pi. So a Raspberry Pi 4, what's the benchmark of a Raspberry Pi 4? I'm assuming it's significantly lower than that.
I
But,
wonder if it's a memory thing.
well, I don't know. The thing is that because they didn't have instructions on how to install it natively, I was running it in a Docker container, but that shouldn't restrict the memory. But there seems to be precious little information of people talking about how they're running the Docker container, but that's because most people use the integrated Home Assistant add-on /OS. So it could be my fault, but for now I just went to the other model. But what they have now in Home Assistant 2023.8 is they have wildcard support for sentence triggers. So sentence triggers are, again, where you can, again, string together sentences, and the wildcard option is that you can partially match a sentence and use the match part in your actions. So their example is you could say, play the White Album by the Beatles, and you can essentially, your actual trigger is play, and then album is the wild card, and then by, and then artist. So it extracts two things. So a lot of interesting possibilities.
Yep.
And now that I've been doing a little more with the voice stuff, I may, add in some things like I want to be able to pick up the phone and ask what's the weather and see if we can generate that one. It has all the data to do it.
Or you could I don't know. You could hit the speaker button and go, Gladys, what's the weather today?
Who's Gladys?
What do you call your home assistant?
I don't know. We're not really on a first name basis.
How rude.
I'll wait for a wake word. Anyway, if you use Blueprints, there is a condition selector that has been added.
It's nice.
So this allows you to show the condition part of the automation editor, so you can use a user-provided condition in Blueprints.
For any blueprint.
Yeah. So good idea.
Nice. I like it.
Yeah.
Because as we all know, the key to having the best automations is knowing when to turn it off.
I like to turn things off. Saves less electricity, especially now that I added all those additional smart switches. Although admittedly there is still a bunch of blue tape, and the people who put the blue tape up have not shown any signs of coming back to take it off.
Oh no.
And I shouldn't have asked. I should have just left the common hallway lights in the building broken as they've been for the last 3 years, instead of trusting that they would fix my four-way switch. I hate dealing with four-way switches. Their solution was to essentially leave it in the on position and then cover up all the switches. At least the ones that they didn't disable. So it's at least as bad as it was before, but now there's blue tape all over the place. Anyway.
That doesn't sound good.
No, eventually, I called the guy who was handling the job, and he said he'd call me back in a few minutes. That was yesterday. So, may have to find someone else. I'm giving him till the end of the week to at least return my phone call. He did a lot of very good things. It's just this was not one of them. So I guess I should appreciate what I got. This particular version of Home Assistant has a bunch of performance upgrades.
Nice.
Yeah.
Performance is always good.
Yeah, a bunch of enhancements. They do have some new integrations. Apparently, they have added a bunch of utilities that use O-Power, which I believe is like...
Not mine.
Does yours use O-Power?
I don't know. I don't know what O-Power is.
I believe it's like an Oracle Power host service thing.
Probably not.
So essentially, apparently more than 175 utilities use the O-Power system. So it's like a subcontractor for I assume, for the technological infrastructure. So far, it supports a bunch of them, including Atlantic City Electric, Baltimore Gas and Electric, Commonwealth Edison, Delmarva Power, Pico Energy Company, Potomac Electric Power Company, Pacific Gas and Electric, and Puget Sound Energy. So if there are 170 odd more of those, eventually they'll figure out how to do those as well.
Does O-Power have to do with Oracle?
I said that. O-Power is apparently an Oracle product. It brings AI and behavioral science to the utility customer experience, and more than 175 utilities help customers reduce energy usage with the O-Power home energy reports. So essentially, O-Power is the Oracle Energy and Water service that apparently a lot of utilities subscribe to, so that you can view.
Interesting. Because I found a reference to JEA on an Oracle blog, but nothing O-Power related.
Okay. As I said, it's interesting.
Yep.
Yes. And apparently some new integrations can set up from the eye, and I did not realize that there was actually a Zodiac integration in Home Assistant.
Like a get your horoscope?
As in, what is the current Zodiac sign that you're in?
That I'm in, or that the
the world is in.
Oh.
I did not know.
That's useful.
If you're into astrology, I assume it is.
But how useful is it to know the active sign? I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not into astrology.
I'm not either. Maybe
So,
if you want to learn.
well, it might be used to figure out your horoscope. Maybe you don't want your lights to turn on when Venus is in retrograde or something. I have no idea. I literally do not have any idea what I'm talking about. But if somebody does know why you would want Zodiac integration in your home automation system, why not?
Yep, why not?
So beyond that, one other thing, Python 3.10 support has been removed. So if you didn't upgrade your Python instance, then you should do that.
Things might stop working? Is that what you're saying?
No, things will stop working. Might suggest that there's a choice. You upgrade and things will stop working.
Ah.
So a few other
Okie
things
dokie.
that have been going on. Wear OS. Remember those things?
I remember Wear OS. I miss Wear OS sometimes.
Well, I know eventually my TicWatch E3 will get that Wear OS 3 upgrade I've been promised for, like 2 years now? As in, since I bought the darn thing. It's getting Wear OS is getting an official Audible app.
Ooh.
Yes, Audible, a former sponsor.
I like Audible.
Yes, I just call audibles. If you like Ubuntu, apparently Ubuntu Touch 20.04 OTA 2 is bringing support for more smartphones. So this is the touch version of Ubuntu. Again, it's 20.04, so it's based on what is effectively a 3-year-old version of Ubuntu, but this was continued after Canonical scrapped it. So you have an independent group of developers who are continuing to update it so it works on various devices. So it now works on things like Fairphone, OnePlus, Xiaomi, Google. Okay, back to the world of politics. Senator Elizabeth Warren, a somewhat controversial figure in the Senate, wants to build a new agency to police big tech.
Yay!
The Digital Consumer Protection Agency. So she is the same person who created the consumer protection. What is it? I always get that wrong. The acronym wrong on that. But anyway, the new agency would be a commission that would be empowered to go after giant tech firms for a slew of anti-competitive behaviors and failing to protect privacy. And she has partnered with Lindsey Graham. So the best I can say is those two seem to be diametrically opposite types. So if they're getting together on something, that's interesting. So
Yep.
Well, again,
a lot of our laws are, well, they're kind of outdated and they don't handle an internet world very well.
Oh, here it is. It's the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. I always get that name wrong. The previous Elizabeth Warren Bureau to protect consumers.
As a general rule, I am anti more government. For this particular thing, I'm withholding judgment.
Well, the question is, what will, other than go after companies for anti-competitive behavior and failing to protect privacy, how is it going to play out? Because when she created the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, or championed it at least, the actual bureau that came out of the proposal was significantly watered down from what was originally proposed. So who knows if it will create anything that is useful or something that just looks like it's useful.
The only thing we know for a fact that it's going to produce is extra burden on all companies.
Well, we're still back to companies have a much larger reach than they used to. And I'm not against somebody saying you can't do that. I'm not sure if the government can produce an effective organization to do it, but I will still go to someone needs to.
As I say, for now, I will withhold judgment.
Yeah. Well, so am I about the final result. The idea that somebody who actually understands technology needs to talk to these companies because most people in government don't seem to. At least not elected officials.
Yes, and creating this agency is not going to change that.
Probably not. But I hope to be surprised. My problem is, and I've said this recently in many contexts, is that a lot of times my cynicism is rewarded when things do not play out the way that I wish they would, but think they will. If you are a Pixel user, the new At a Glance widget will finally let you customize the widget to a greater degree.
Cool.
Yes, I like customization. Meta, Microsoft, and Amazon have launched an open source mapping project. Now, this has been talked about before, the Overture Maps Foundation, when they founded it, but they've released their first open map dataset. So,
interesting.
The release apparently includes over 59 million places of interest, along with data on buildings, transportation networks, and administrative boundaries.
We shall see.
Yes, and you know me, I love a good map set.
Yes. Who doesn't?
I'm sure somebody doesn't.
I don't know.
Going back to Google, they've introduced a new version of the Play Store for large screens. So that'll be
Going back to tablets.
No, it's refreshed app listings for high quality apps.
Oh, high quality apps.
Yes. So essentially, if your app has high quality content in the Play Store, then it will be seen better. So if you have a very bad listing, then obviously it will not get as much attention. They also introduced ranking changes. So essentially, apps and games that adhere to large screen app quality guidelines will be ranked higher in search, which is interesting, despite the fact that you think that would only apply if you were using it on a large format device. but they've done this before, which is if you design for a phone, but you don't design for a large screen, you're going to be downranked even when the person isn't using a large screen. I could understand you being downranked when searching on devices where it will not create a good experience, but I don't quite get that one. Streamlined store navigation, and they're also doing split screen search.
Cool. Take advantage of that bigger screen.
I think you should, and as I said, I think you should reward apps that do that, but you should reward them on devices where people care. Speaking of another Google rollout, the home panel has been rolled out to more Pixel owners. So that's the home panel that originally came in June, where you can have access to this panel from the lock screen or the quick settings panel, and essentially it allows you to interface with your various home devices. Now, if you remember, there was originally a feature where you could put a bunch of buttons when you press the power button.
Right.
This seems like it's very similar to that feature, but again, it's focused on Google Home stuff. And Google also released unknown tracker alerts on Android.
What the heck does that mean?
So this is rolling out to Android 6 users and above. So let's say, Jerry, would you like to be in an example? Do you mind?
Sure, I'll be an example.
Okay, Jerry, you are a, let's just say, mentally unhinged person.
What? I didn't know I was going to be this kind of example.
I asked. And you've decided that you have some sort of beef with me, and you've decided that you're going to follow me around for your malicious, unhinged purposes. But I know what you look like, so you can't get anywhere near me. So what you've done is you have secretly stuck a Apple AirTag somewhere in my possessions, so that you can follow me.
That's smart of me.
Yes, so you can follow me around and see everything. But I'm also smart. I have an Android device, and Google has given me the ability to get an automatic alert if there is an unknown tracker within range.
Ooh.
And again, this is if it is traveling with you.
Does that mean it's going to light up if you walk by an Apple store and they've got like 100 AirTags inside?
No, it has to be traveling with you for a period of time.
A period of time.
Well, not a long period of time. It's unclear of how long. It said it has to be traveling with you. So my assumption is that you have to be in motion, and the device has to move at the same rate you're moving.
Oh.
Because otherwise, every time you walk past a person who had a device, there would be a problem.
Yep.
But let's say that you're standing next to a person who has an unknown device, and you're walking with them. This probably would pick it up.
Nice.
So both Apple and Google have jointly been working on the specifications for that sort of thing, to make sure that...
Cool. I like it.
Well, again, both of them have realized now that there are these tracking devices that are easy to deploy, that people are using them for this purpose, so they are essentially checking it. Also, the new Find My Device network, which has been somewhat delayed. Apparently, not only are they working on the joint unwanted tracker specification with Apple, but they've held the Find My Device network until Apple has implemented protections for iOS. So my takeaway from that seems to be that they want to make sure that they're not picking up things from Apple until iOS is adequately taken care of.
Makes a bit of sense to me.
Okay, well, we'll see what happens. So, other than that, as I said, I've been playing with the voice features of Home Assistant. I started thinking about my manual sentence creation. And
Manual sentence.
well, essentially, my ability to create intents is the term that's used.
Ah.
So that I can essentially get better results. So I discovered the things in my ceiling I refer to as hi-hats.
Why?
You've never heard of the term hi-hat?
No.
Okay, a hi-hat light is a term for recessed lighting.
Oh.
Now, technically speaking, I switched to disc lights in that living room, but I still refer to the things in the ceiling as hi-hats. Not necessarily recessed lights, because now they're no longer recessed. But so the problem was that the voice system was not detecting. It didn't get the term hi-hat, so I had to put in some aliases.
I don't get the term hi-hat either, but okay.
It's a term.
It's a term.
Trust me.
I do.
But does it matter if that is the term that I wish to use for the device? I could say turn on Fred, and if Fred is are my lights, then it should turn on, shouldn't it?
Yeah, there we go.
So I don't call it Fred, but the point is, if I called it Fred, then that would be the alias for the device.
You should call it Fred. You should give your devices names.
Wouldn't that confuse people?
Who cares?
Well, let's say Jerry, you come to visit me, which you're always welcome to stop by. Just call first, and you say, "How do I turn on the lights?" And I tell you, "Say turn on Fred," and that would just confuse you.
No, it wouldn't. I would think it's awesome.
I'll remember that. 3 years from now, you'll stop by and you'll find out that everything responds to the name Fred.
I like creative naming.
Okay. If it works for you, why not? So, shall we adjourn until next time?
Let's call it a night. Because that's not a very creative name, but it's an accurate name.
It's no Fred.
It's no Fred. All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Recording stopped.
Stream ending.
So, are you going to update your Home Assistant tonight, or